So we'll call the meeting to order here. Roll call, Mark, do we need to everyone go around and say they're on? Do we have the Zoom recording good enough for people's names? I think I see everyone's names in besides one phone number in here. Everyone's here, so I don't know who the phone number is, but.
Yeah, that's Todd.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, no, well, maybe just so that, because we've got some new GAB members and new commission member. Well, she's actually not here. No, but yeah. So why don't we just really quickly go around and have everybody introduce themselves.
Sure. Okay, so I'll start. So I'm Mike DeFranco. I'm on the Parks and Rec team here, and I'm, I guess, the chair of the commission here. So I don't know what order we go in. Everyone's screen might look different. Madeline's next on my screen, but yeah, whoever's up.
Hi, I'm Madeline Illinger. I'm president of the Shinnecock Women's League. I'm happy to be here tonight.
Bruce Jones, Groton Town Councilor.
Terry Sang, I'm a member of the commission.
Jim Steffes,
evening,
Parks
everyone.
and Rec Commission.
Lucia Pillay, Gab.
Elizabeth Hogan, Parks and Rec Commission.
Yep, Margaret Hirsch, Golf Advisory Board. And I chair the Golf Advisory Board at the moment.
Marie Shaw, Golf Advisory Board.
Eric Morrison, Golf Course Superintendent.
Todd with you, Golf Pro.
And Mark Berry, Director of Parks and Recreation.
All right. And Mark, do we have anyone else that joined us from non-commission members? Sometimes people call in. Do we have anyone else right now, or just commission members?
We have a Paul Burgess.
Okay. Sounds good. And we'll get to a point where I open it up, Paul. If you have something to say, if you're just listening in, we'll get to a point where we open up and you can speak to it in the meeting. So that, I think that'll take care of roll call. We're called to order. The first topic on here is approval of meeting minutes. So in the packet that went out, the minutes from last time were there. Any questions from any of the Parks and Rec commissioners before we make the motion to accept them?
No questions on my end. This is Jim.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the January meeting.
I can second them.
Aye.
All in favor?
All in favor.
Aye.
All right. Next topic one, citizens petitions and comments. Open up the commissioners first to see if there was anything from any commissioners.
I have not received any.
Mike.
Okay. Mark, anything from your aspect you got?
Today I received an email from an abutter to Esker Point Beach, just inquiring about the status of the dogs on the beach.
Okay. I know we have an item tonight on it, so just inquiring status. No. Okay. Town council referrals, Mark, any?
None.
Okay. Correspondence and communication. So, I kind of roll that in almost to petitions, but any commissioners have anything before we jump into the reports?
Nope.
Okay. So reports, Mark, first the director's report.
Yeah, I don't have anything in addition to what was already in the written report.
Okay. I only had one question from it before we open up to other commissioners. Mark, there was talking about, and I think we mentioned it last time, Project O. There was a grant, I think, that came in from Project O, and, the town was partnering with them. There was some mention in the report of some complimentary classes for for residents of the town. Can you shed a little light on that? Is that something that people would sign up through, like the normal website where people sign up, and is there like income limitations, or how does that work? Because it didn't have a lot of info on that. Over.
Yeah, I think that those details are still being worked out. I can check with the
Okay.
program supervisor that's in charge of that and get that information back to everyone. I don't think the trips don't start, I think, until a little bit later this spring, but I'll get more information on that.
That's fine. Yeah, maybe just in a future director's report, maybe just put a little info in. That would be good. If it's not open, that's fine. Just be good for us to know. So,
Okay.
thanks. Other commissioners, any questions on the director's report?
No.
Nope.
All right. Golf course. So we have a whole section on golf course rates tonight, but is there any kind of general announcements, Mark, you want to make? And then we'll hold the rest till later.
Only that the bids closed for the software. We only received one bid. And so we're working with the purchasing agent to figure out a next step, because the proposed price for this software was $160,000 for the first year, $550,000 for over 5 years. So I don't think that's a direction that we're really interested in going in.
Holy
Go
cow.
ahead. Do you know if the first time we had a couple, I think when we put it out the first time, there was a bunch of companies that either bid or interested. Do you know if they just submitted a note? Like, I know at our company, you can submit a no bid to some company. Like, we send it out as an open bid sometimes, and then we send it, some suppliers will send in like, no bid. Do you know if is it open? Do some say no bid? I'm just curious why some of them, maybe the ones that bid before didn't bid, if you have any of that info. No,
Yeah,
okay.
so I actually reached out to two of the other groups that had we'd previously discussed with and made proposals, and I haven't heard back from either one of them yet.
Okay. Thanks. I understand. Trails Coordinating Task Force.
No, it's quarterly meeting. The next one's not until March, so no updates.
Okay. Athletic fields, any updates or anything you want to shed light on there?
Yeah, so we received 10 proposals, and we are meeting. The interview panel is meeting tomorrow to discuss the proposals and develop a short list. And those on the short list will get invited to make a presentation. And then once we've selected a preferred vendor, we'll begin negotiations on a price.
Okay. Thank you. Mark, I got to ask for kind of athletic fields. So right now, the town stance is they don't plow out any of the parks through the town. I think it would be good as our commission to maybe have a side conversation. We don't have to do it in this meeting, but there's some parks, like right now there's 2 feet of snow, right? So no one's really using the park, but like the dog park is something, hundreds of people use a day. I almost think that what would it take for them to plow a certain number of parks that are heavily used through the town? Not every park, and not on the snow day when the snow occurs. Maybe a couple of days after the plow drivers are rested. But I think that they would be a good benefit to the town that some get a basic plow. Don't know how we make that happen. If that's something that you talk to the Public Works about, or something a resident would have to recommend to the Public Works, but over.
Yeah, typically that does happen. I think right now they're just still trying to clear streets and intersections, and but I know after the last storm, the Kopp Family Park was plowed. I also Quantic Plains Park, I think, has already been plowed, a portion of that. So yes, that does happen.
Okay.
And I think it's just a matter of they're going to be trying to figure out where they can put snow and just get caught up over the next couple of days.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I guess if any commissioners see anything, parks that they think are high value that aren't plowed, maybe we just have that as a future conversation as feedback, or if anyone gets any feedback. So thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Unfinished business. I think we had an item on here for the kitchen supervisor position. Elizabeth, you have this on here. I know it was a critical item for Thrive. Any update or anything anyone wanted to mention on it?
I think
Yeah, I can provide an update. So the closing date for applications is not until I think March 2nd. We've already had some applicants, and we have reached out to them to set up interviews just to kind of keep the process rolling. I think we had 8 applicants. 4 of the applications had no information on them, so we can't really interview them. But the other 4, we're making arrangements to begin a first round of interviews.
Thank you, Mark. I'm really glad to hear that that's moving along. I would also like to make a recommendation that we change the title of that business. It really isn't the supervisor position. It is the permanent part-time food worker position. The kitchen supervisor position is now filled.
Yeah. Okay, I can do that for the next. You want this on the agenda until the position?
Please, until we have it
Yeah.
closed. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Next topic, dogs on Esker Park Point. I know, if my memory serves me right, last time the discussion was that, from a call to health district, and there was some discussion of, dogs not being allowed in some of the, people swimming holes in summer months. And we had the discussion of, we're going to try to get a little more recon onto, is that just more between Memorial and Labor Day type time frame? Or is there any, I don't want to call it endangered, but is there any other species that nest outside that, call it core summer months, that should be considered for the time frame? So, Mark, I'll turn it over to you. I did see a letter in the info packet that, I think maybe you wrote that was a recommendation, but I didn't know what a call it data or scientific thing, if we received any comments on that. So or anyone else, any other commissioners.
Yeah, I did reach out to Audubon, asking if they had any information, and unfortunately, I did not hear back from them. So, other than what the information that I provided in the recommendation, that to this point is the only information that we have, which included, steps that the state has taken to further protect shorebirds, and also information from at least one abutter that they have seen piping plovers on Esker Point Beach in the past.
Okay. So I think the goal of today, before we open up for commissioners, just so we're all grounded on the call, I think the goal is to discuss it and then have a vote of kind of when that, I'll say, ban or dog moratorium is between. Is that so we're all grounded? Is that the goal of the meeting today, to discuss and come up with a vote?
Yes, I was hoping that the council, or the commission rather, would make a suggestion
Okay.
for what they considered an appropriate time to restrict dogs on the beach.
Okay. So let's open it up for any questions from commission members before we maybe put a proposed date out there, if there's anyone that has questions.
Yeah, I have one question. I don't think there is, but there's no restriction on that beach. You can get out of town people on that beach with their dogs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah, it's a true public beach.
yeah. Okay. So people with dogs can be from any town, anywhere. Okay. All right.
Mark, I wasn't entirely clear about the time frame that we would prohibit dogs from being on the beach. I understood the reasons, but I was not quite clear on the time frame.
The time frame is generally from the end of March, right around, or the 1st of April until I think the last of September or October. That's what adjoining communities have. That's the time frame that most of the adjoining communities in the southeast Connecticut that are all along the shore, that's the time that they restrict dogs on the beach. And that coincides with the nesting.
It looks like a reasonable span of time because I think by late September, not that many people would be going in the water. They might be visiting the beach, but less likely to be in the water.
Right.
Yeah, so my kind of take rate is look, and I think Mark, you had basically two Labor Day, I think a weekend after. If I kind of look at Labor Day as the 7th this year, you had the 15th. So, you know, right around the Labor Day, the week after, as being like the rear end of the bookend. You know, I think that sounds reasonable to me. I would throw out there, you know, an April 1st through that Labor Day or that 15th, whatever that, you know, rear bookend would be. That would be kind of my proposal for everyone. But floor is open for discussion, right, commissioners? So
I agree.
That sounds good to me.
So we're talking a ban on dogs from April 1st to Labor Day?
Or mid-September, I think is what Mike said, like the 15th.
whatever you think. Was there a reason for the 15th, Mark, versus like Labor Day? Out of curiosity.
Oh, I thought I heard you say the 5th. You said somewhere around the
You
15th.
had a letter. You had a letter in the end of the packet that had the date of September 15th. I don't know if there's significance to that. That's why I was asking.
Oh,
Well, it gets us right by Labor Day.
right.
I would just recommend Labor Day then. Make it easy so people have the April 1st to Labor Day.
Okay.
I prefer not to do that, Mike, because some people may be taking their vacation the Labor Day weekend and on. So I really do think the week after Labor Day is likely to be used by swimmers.
Okay. And Mark, so we're clear, is what going in the date range, it sounds like everyone's kind of happy from April 1st to like the weekend after, whatever that exact date racks out to be, is the rules that we're trying to recommend and set that outside of them, people can bring dogs onto the beach, but in that time, they can't bring dogs at all, even on a leash. I want to make sure that like we're all clear in what we're actually trying to achieve. Or
Yes, no dogs, whether they're on a leash or not, during that time frame, because a good majority, I won't say most, a good majority of dog owners will, once the dog gets on the beach, they take him off the leash. The dog immediately runs into the water and tears around. So it's no dogs, no leashes, no dogs on leashes.
Okay. And then I'll ask the question because I don't really use the picnic area much anymore. Personally, I used to use it a bunch, but do you think that everyone in the beach uses the picnic area or vice versa? Like, do you think people would be upset or it'd be a problem? Because I assume we're doing this for the whole beach and space. Like, you know, the picnic area is technically not the beach, but they're really one.
Yeah, it would include the picnic area. Because if you were going to, you know, if you brought a dog and you said no dogs on the beach, everybody goes to the beach. Now the dog's tied up to a picnic table and it's barking because it sees its owners. I just think it's much more clear cut, easy to manage if no dogs on the beach, which includes the picnic area.
Yep. So the whole park, we'll just say. Make it
Yes.
easy, yep.
Yeah.
And that includes the volleyball area, Mark?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep.
I'm just looking at the calendar just to make sure. Hang on real quick. So, picking dates, it almost seems like the back bookend. So Labor Day is a Monday, the 7th. That following Sunday is the 13th. I don't really care whether you pick the 13th or the 15th. It almost seems like you would just pick the weekend after Labor Day, but whatever the commission is good with sounds reasonable to me. Yeah, because obviously every year it's going to be a different physical date. So, Mark, you probably want to set I don't know how you set the date. Do you just pick the 15th every year, and then whatever that falls on? I don't know how you want to do it.
Or
You're going
to through the second Sunday of September.
Okay. I think so. The proposal is April 1st through the second Sunday of September.
Yeah,
Questions before that? Let's move to a vote/motion. All right. I think there's no questions, so if someone wants to make a motion, I think we're at that point.
I'll make the motion that we accept the limitation of no dogs on the beach at Esco Point Park from April 1st through the second Sunday in September. Leashed or unleashed?
Someone want to second it?
This is Terry. I'll second it.
Okay. Well, vote all in favor.
I'm a no.
Aye.
I'm a no, Mike.
And no, Jim?
No.
Okay. Do you have any counter suggestions before we can all vote, but any counter suggestions before we?
No, I
do that?
just don't think dogs should be on the beach. I just don't think people from out of town care what their dogs do on the beach. And there'll be dog crap everywhere.
Okay. So just no, or you want to counter any of the?
Yeah,
The
my
motion.
counter would be no dogs on the beach if we want to vote for that too.
Okay. I guess the floor is open for discussion. I personally think that, outside the swimming time, I think that having people have the right to have a dog on a beach is a liberty that I'm not personally ready to vote take away from folks. Don't have a dog anymore. I used to, but that's my personal opinion. So others can chime in.
Yeah, Mike, this is Terry. I agree with you. And I don't think dogs should be restricted. Well, except for the period that we mentioned. So I have the same line of thought, just like you.
You can't legislate or enforce, I should say, dog owner behavior. So if you set some limits, I think that's the best you can do.
Okay.
I think dog owners, they are usually pretty good. And I think when we post those signs, it would be good to provide a rationale why we have that restriction. We need to protect little chicks, little birds, and I believe people will follow the rules.
Yeah, we've already put together a series of, I think, 4 different social media posts explaining why we're moving in this direction.
That's great.
Yeah. So hopefully that will help. I think, I'm.
Well, that's fine. So that means the vote's 3-1, it carries, right?
Yeah.
And we can move on.
Yep. Okay, I'm good. I just want to make sure if there's anything. So yeah, so kind of final motion then is 3-1. I'm good. Jim, I just wanted to make sure if we had some discussion. But it sounds like everyone is sat, so the vote is 3-1. Then I'm good.
Yeah, that's
Next
fine.
topic.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. All right, so we'll go to new business. Mark, did anyone, usually we let the public speak in the meeting. Did anyone that called in, if they wanted to say something, if it's pertinent to the golf course, I'd rather have them maybe be part of that discussion when we get to it. But if anyone that called in had something else to talk about, I'd like to just open the floor before we go to the golf course discussion.
Okay, so I'll open it up for Paul. I have no idea what his interest is in listening or speaking. So I've allowed him to talk, and I guess we'll give him a minute or so to unmute himself if he wants. Otherwise, we'll put him back on mute and move forward.
Just here to listen to the golf course discussion.
Okay. Great.
Okay,
Thanks.
sounds good, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
All right, so golf course discussion. I know there was a bunch of info in the packet that went out to the Parks and Rec Commission. Logistics wise, having us all talk at once isn't a good thing. So I don't, from the GAB, I guess, what was your thoughts? You brought some info here. We had some pre-reading. Did you want to give like a discussion and talk and then have us have collaboration time? What is your vision of how this would go? Just, again, 10 people talking at once doesn't get us anywhere. So if you had a vision of how you were, coming, or you just wanted to dive right into the discussion, that's fine. I just wanted to ask before we started on topic. Right. So I know that I don't hear anything from anyone in the GAB. So I know that there was some charts included in here. So I know I saw a couple charts. I know Mark, you sent a new packet out. To be transparent, I did not have time to look at that between when I left work and joined this meeting. I assume that all the charts and everything were the same, just nicer format. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I cleaned them up.
It looked good when I opened it quickly, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess floor is open from commissioners. I know I had a couple questions, but floor is open. Again, if you wanted to give a overview summary, that you're welcome to. If not, I'll open up to the commissioners from the Parks and Rec to ask questions.
I'm ready to ask.
Usha, would you like to, you've spent quite a bit of time putting this all together. Would you like to take a couple of minutes to go over this?
Sure, happy to do that. I don't know what packet you sent out.
It was the packet with those two spreadsheets that you sent.
Yep. So I'll just give a.
I was just going to say that had the revenue projections and then the other one without it. Yeah.
So I'll just provide an overview, and then we can take any questions that come up. So what we were looking to do was look at our current rates, compare it to our local competition, which we considered Norwich as being the closest, if you will. So that was on our mind and on our radar. We also understood that the commission last year had recommended a certain rate increase for residents, which was about 5% and up to 15% for non-residents. So we opted that as one option. Now, as Councilor Jones noted, that was not followed last year. So this year we have a recommended, which is not the 5 and the 15%, but a variation of that, keeping in mind that we wanted to stay competitive while ensuring that we have a way to continue to maintain operations of the golf course. So that was the premise. And so you'll see two different options We had some data in terms of how many passes were sold in 2024, 2025. And so we use that as a projection in figuring out what the revenue would be, projected revenue, keeping in mind that we had made a decision based on the recommendation of this commission to cut off at 400 passes. So this is just the season passes. We, as Golf Advisory Board, we agreed that we need to recommend that we open that up so we have more members joining. At this point, that has become a rate limiting step in our ability to raise revenue. So we need to consider increasing the number of members joining. And then the second piece was in terms of looking at the rates for people who are non-members playing golf, 18 holes, 9 holes, cart rental, etc. Again, we look to see how could we increase pricing that's still competitive. We only provided one option for that increase. Norwich has already published their rates. The option that we have proposed is slightly higher in some cases, but in other cases, we still have room for increase there. So that's just the general overview of, and I should also mention that, when you look at the breakdown, in the membership, club membership, the biggest category is our senior military members. That's our biggest chunk of members. The second one is the adult, single adult membership, and that both resident, non-resident. So those are, when I think about how do we look to make sure we manage to keep our membership, but increase it in a competitive way so that we can grow our revenue. Those are the categories that matter the most. Other categories are not necessarily contributing as much. The second piece with the cart membership, cart rental, we noticed that brings in quite a bit of revenue. We are not competitively priced necessarily in that space. So again, there may be an opportunity for us to raise that price slightly. So that's just an overview of how we started to think about being more strategic in staying competitive, raising where it makes most sense for us to raise, so that we're not too low in our ability to raise the funds revenue. So I'll pause there. Questions or anyone else wants to add? Councilor Jones, you were there. Margaret and Mark, if you have anything else to add.
Thanks, appreciate it. If there's, before our council answers questions, I'd like to give other Gab or the councilor an opportunity just to say anything else before we kind of dive in with some questions.
My main question, Ursula, I know we went through all the numbers. But the new numbers that you came up with, which is basically option 2, are you satisfied that we hit the required revenue that we needed?
We would hit that provided we open up more members to join.
Okay.
Yeah.
So late Friday, we got the final numbers for the projected expenses for FYE 27. There was a couple of line items that we were waiting on. Those numbers have come in. And so the total expenses for projected expenses for FYE 27 is $1,984,668, which with those new numbers would require us to use $81,351 of fund balance. So just in order for us to, and that was based on what was done a while ago before we came up with the current proposal, which 1959.
So, Mark, this is Jim. That includes, that's current head count. There's no additional head count in that?
I'm not sure that I understand your question, Jim.
That
Jim, let me
budget
take a cut.
expense, that budget expense number, does it
Yeah.
include what, 6 groundskeepers? and
Uh,
30, right?
Yeah, 6 point. There's currently a vacant position that is being filled with a part-time, a 0.5 FTE. So it doesn't include any expansion next year over what we'll have at the end of FY 26.
Right. Just so everybody knows,
Yeah.
the golf course plussed up 1 full-time groundskeeper in 2025,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, part of the deficit is, the biggest part of the deficit is the additional headcount with all the benefits. That was an expensive position. Right.
So,
Yeah.
Mark,
Well,
81K, just so we're grounded. Do I take that as if I did no cost increase, so kept all the rates the same? I just want to make sure we understand this commission. If I kept all the current rates the same, not saying we're doing that, but if we did, and we have the same number of projected, or the projected income, would that mean that if we would be 81,000 in the hall if we kept the rates the same, or what did that 81K come from?
no, we'd be 200,000 in the hole.
So
Yeah, it'll
what
be
is the
close.
81?
It'll be close to 200,000 and change
Actually.
in the whole. So
Okay, so is the 81K going to one of the options? I just want to map what the 81K maps to on the nice chart you put together.
Where's the 81K coming from?
Mark just mentioned that the expenses projected for this year were 1.9 million, and we would be 81,000 in the hole, meaning we had to use it from fund balance. I'm trying to understand what that
right.
comes
81,351. Right. Yeah, I mean that's not just one person.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like,
that's an accumulation of all kinds of different items.
I understand, but I guess what I'm asking is, if we went with no rate increase, that's where the 81K comes from. But then if I went with option one, like if I went option one, do I still
yes.
81K in the hole? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Right. Yeah. So the 81 would be based on the projections that we had to submit to the town manager January 14th. And Eric uses, well, he could speak to it better, but we look at the last 6 months of the previous year, the first 6 months of this current fiscal year, and then to the best of our ability, try to anticipate what we think may be the recommended increase to greens fees and season pass holders. Now that has, the work that Usha has done, that number has changed a little bit. So the 81,000 is not, is different depending on which particular price level the GAB and the commission decides on.
Mark, that's why I asked the question is, so it's more or less a pretty non-controllable. That is the estimated number for FY 27, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's no additional headcount in that number, right?
Right. At the end of FYE 26,
right,
there'll be an additional,
right.
Well, there'll be that 0.5 person.
Yeah.
And we did not add
Right.
that to
Right.
FYE 27.
So the only controllable aspect of that is how much Eric spends on third-party services, right, Eric?
Well, yeah, it's all of our expenses. Products, third party contractors,
Yeah, but
There's mo-
what I'm
there's
asking,
mo-
Eric, is 2/3 of your budget is labor and benefits, and then you have things like fertilizer, all that kind of stuff, right?
correct.
The big extra piece is the third party costs, right? And that's the
Sure.
only variability you have in your budget at this point is how much you spend on third party costs. All the rest of it is not controllable for you.
Correct.
Right. Okay. All right. That's it. All right. Okay.
I had a couple questions. Maybe I'll just list them. Then Jim, I think you have a bunch too, so let's go through them. Just so I understand, I'm looking at a chart. I will kind of hold it up. It was like an Excel chart that looked like this, just so that you guys can understand.
There's a page number on the bottom right, Mike. What page number is it?
12. I don't know. Hang on.
No, it's probably 14 or 16.
It's 17 in
17.
the package that went out. It
Yeah.
has a price that says class of proposed pricing. So just so I'm grounded and we're looking at, I think, Gab, it probably came off an Excel sheet you gave. There's a column that calls current revenue. Is that just what we've made thus far this year? It might not be irrelevant to our discussion, but I just want to make sure I understand what the current revenue is.
Yeah, that's based on January numbers. We did not have February numbers. So that's based on what we know today that we have.
Okay. Options 1 through 3. It looks like really the difference in them is just the resident and non-resident percent increases. Is that a true statement?
Correct. So except for option 3, we weren't going to present that. But since you have it, it's just saying if we just did a 5% across the board.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So when we say the town council has recommended, is that option 1, 8 to 10% for the resident season pass and 9 to 13 for non-resident?
No, option 1, if you look, it says option 1 in parentheses, town council recommendation. That's 5% for resident, 15% non-resident.
Okay, I'm back on page 14. I'm getting confused on the pages here. There's a page 14 that has all this stuff at the top. And then there's a page 17 that has rates on the top. Which one are we to be looking at here?
We do not have that same packet, so you'll have to forgive
Well,
us.
Mark does. So,
Hang on. Mark, hang on. I think I can fix this. Hang on. Give me a second. Hang on. I think I made this easy. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yep. Yes.
I think this is a little easier. Now we're going to how the point we're talking about.
yeah, so we're not talking page 14, Mark. We're only talking page 17. So I should not even look at page 14 that has different rates on the top.
Mike, can you scroll up to 14?
Sure. Sorry, there's too many. I only have one monitor.
Right. Those are.
I think those rates are the same. The only thing it doesn't include, those are the same as 17. What it does not include is the projected revenue.
Yeah, I think Jim, ignore this up top. I think that's what they're saying. I don't know what this maybe was a calculation as part of your sheet or something, but
Okay.
Yeah, you can ignore that top. It's just it's linked back. In the beginning it was, but I changed that. So this is without the revenue, and you can see option 1 says town council recommendation.
Right.
5% and 15%, and then option 2 is variable. For resident, it goes somewhere from 8 to 10, and for non-resident, it goes from 9 to 13.
Okay. All right. So which one? So the town council is recommending option 1?
No, let me weigh in on this. So at the end of last year, in the budget process of last year, the town council had made some recommendations for revenue kind of winged out of space, especially on the 15%. And we weren't sure if we were held to those numbers or not. So I went and looked through all the meetings and then checked with the town manager. And I wasn't sure, because sometimes we say things in the council that becomes the percentage that we have to use for a year. And the year is April 1st is when that year is up. But I checked on these numbers and we just discovered that we actually, when the final numbers were presented, these weren't used. So even though we had recommended them, they weren't used. And because they weren't used, they became void, basically. So we kind of just put this in here as a comparison just to see if we were sort of stuck to these numbers and this is what we had to use, what would those be? And then option 2 is basically what would the Golf Advisory Board sort of recommend, knowing competition and weighing groups and things like that. So we've sort of figured out that we don't need to pay attention to option 1. It was just sort of an exercise to kind of go, do we need to do this or not? And so option 2 would be I believe the Groton, the golf board sort of recommended numbers they're more reasonable and they fit based on the parameters of competition and what people could do. So I think eventually we'll just, when this is finally presented, I'll recommend take those numbers out, option 1 out, because we don't need to hold to them anyways. So it really just was an exercise to see what would happen if we did. So Bruce, do you have any sense of what the town council is going to be thinking? No, not really. Partly we're reacting to, because last year the numbers went up so much, I think based on the recommendation of the consultant, that it kind of threw a lot of people. And so we got a lot of pushback. I think what came out of it was if we can kind of move these numbers up more gradually, which is what this is, to a place where the golf course can sort of maintain itself, that would be reasonable. So I think as long as they're reasonable, that would be my thought, is that they're okay. It's just that they had made a bigger jump than people were anticipating. And that sort of threw a lot of people and had pushback on it. That's sort of how I read it. I was there. That's what we did. And I think if we move it to 15, that kind of throws everything out of whack. So that's why I said just. So on that basis, and I remember being in that meeting last year, the mayor made it clear she didn't want residents paying any more than 5 to 7% increase. Whether they be season pass holders or greens fees. Why does the Golf Advisory Board have any idea why they want to go beyond that for Groton residents?
Yes,
so 8 to 10.
Yeah, so if we don't do it, so the gap is getting wider and wider between resident and non-resident, but also to meet our revenue goals, the non-resident rate will be way over the competitive rates in the area. So it's really looking to see how we bring it back to a place that's competitively positioned for both residents and non-residents, and yet meet our revenue target.
So say that again, Usha, which one was, so one was out of whack and it's affecting the other one? What?
Yeah, so if you look, so just to go back to option 1, right? So if you look at what's on the screen here, option 1, the revenue projection based on same number of passes being sold for residents with a 5% increase and 15% increase for non-residents, we're getting to about a 2 million, right?
Yeah.
And if you use option 2, which actually goes from somewhere between 8 to 10% for resident, and the 10% is really because it is so low compared to Norwich or others, it's even worse, if you will. And then the non-resident goes from 9 to 13%, right? We're still getting to a revenue close to 2 million. So it's just a different allocation of it.
Right.
What it does do for us is it helps us not widen that gap of the resident being so much lower than the competitive positioning in the area with other golf courses. Because then you're looking at non-residents bearing all of the cost to help get us to a better revenue position, which ends up potentially backfiring because they may go somewhere else because this option is so much higher than other local golf courses. So how do we balance that? How do we not widen that gap? And how do we adjust to a pricing that's really more reasonable compared to what the market is
Right, okay.
positioned today?
So you don't happen to have that difference, do you? For the unlimited adults and the senior, how much different the passes are?
From what was
From
and what
Norwich to, I
Norwich.
assume your market is Norwich and
Yeah,
compared to
so
Shinnecock.
Norwich price, the adult, I don't know, Mark, if you have the new rates, but I have the rates that were on the website. So unlimited adult, and keeping in mind Norwich is 8 months, not 12 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So unlimited adult is $22.70.
yeah.
The unlimited family is $37.70.
3770. Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yep.
Lower.
Yep. And then limited adult membership is $18.20. They do not have a limited family.
Yeah. Do they have a senior?
No, they do not have a senior. They just give a discount. So our senior group is our largest group.
Right.
I still think we need to give the discount, but I don't know what Norwich does. They may give a 10% discount or something along those lines from the price, but I don't know.
Yeah, got it. Okay. I understand the rationale. Okay.
Yeah.
One other question is the rationale for the 20% increase in the cart fees, is that market-based as well?
It is.
So the cart rental at Norwich, 18 holes is $25.
Right.
And then 9 holes is $15.
Okay, so we're just moving up to Norwich. Okay.
We're getting closer to Norwich, yeah.
Well, I think the proposal is going from 20 to 25, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the same.
Yeah, it is the same.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, I understand. Okay.
And the carts is probably a good way to get some increased revenue. Do we know, out of curiosity, too, we rent our carts, I think, for like a 5-year period. So, the projection here, is about $360K, revenue for the carts. Do we know how much our carts cost per year to rent? Maybe rent, and I don't know if rent's the right thing, maybe a gas too, but like, do we know what our expenditure for carts is? Like, I guess the question is, are we too cheap, or are we too, how much? That's my question. Are we covering our costs on the cart rentals? Let me ask that. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yes, we do cover our costs. What we collect in cart fees each year covers the cost that we pay over the 5-year period. I don't know, Todd, do you remember how much?
I think per year, Mark, isn't it something like around 70K, something like that, for the carts per annum?
Yeah, I think
the cart
that's
lease is 58,000 and change a year.
Okay, 58.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. So we're definitely making good money, even if you had another 10 to 20K for maintenance and fuel, you're still below 100. So okay, thanks. I had some questions on the season passes. So we had a lot of discussion last year on count of passes, and this year, we had done some caps and stop sales. So before we talk money numbers, one of the reasons that was done is because of availability of tee times. That was one of the big discussion points last time. How does, Eric and Todd, how do you feel that because you had less season passes, how did the availability for people that had passes, was positive feedback, neutral, better, worse? Can we go from that aspect too, from the quality of pass perspective?
Yeah, this is Todd. Eric and I have discussed this at length. If we're at or below around 400 season passes, then there is no complaints. There is no problem. When we were up to like 470, that was a problem. And so that's why the Golf Advisory Board and then this board decided to put a moratorium on new non-resident season pass sales. But we're below 400 now, and I think that it's appropriate now, as Usha had commented, to open up our membership fully.
You're at
Okay, so-
358 now? That's what that slide says? 358 on page 15?
So
Yes, I think that's correct.
So what do you want to go, 400?
Yeah, the
I think
modeling is
if we
based
open
on
up-
400.
400?
So is the proposal to cap, like last year we capped it, I don't know, 350 or some number, right? Is the proposal to cap it this year then at a certain number? 'Cause I mean, your projections are based on how, what you think people are going to buy for the pass mixes, right? You use your best judgment and some logic, some scientific thought there. Are we capping
I don't
just the
think-
total number? No cap? What is the proposal on the floor for that?
Well, my opinion. I don't think that a cap is necessary. There are mechanisms that are in place that solves that problem. The increase in the season pass is going to diminish the demand, obviously. My guess was that if we open up to new non-resident season pass purchasers, it's not going to be more than 40. So I think that we're good.
Okay.
And also coupled with the discussion here about increasing the season pass cost is also going to suppress the number of season passes sold. So I think we're good, in a good spot. I don't think we have to put a cap. I don't think that, my opinion, I don't think that the board has to really seriously consider putting that mechanism in place.
Okay. Okay.
To me personally, that sounds reasonable for this year. We put one in last year. It was effective. If it's a major overrun problem, I feel like we would address it next year. And, if we get 100 more people to buy passes and the availability gets complaint again, then we know that we have to impose one kind of there on forward. But I'm okay with it, but open for discussion. If no discussion, we don't entertain that.
Bruce, I just have a question for Todd or to the Golf Advisory Board. Is that something that we could do midstream? If suddenly it was, 100 people came in, you realize they're going to keep on growing. Can you stop it midstream, or is it something that has to be decided to now and it's good for a year?
Well, then you're talking about really about a soft imposition of a cap. My opinion, I don't think you're going to have a problem if this body decides that they're going to open up to non-resident new season pass holders. So I think that probably the best thing to do is to decide that or not to decide that, and then see how this year goes. And then next year, if we have to consider something else, then this board can just consider something else.
Yeah, the most important thing I think we would be doing is opening it back up to new non-resident season pass holders, because those were the folks that we basically cut out last year. New residents were able to buy season passes unlimited. I mean, it was, we didn't limit them and their ability to buy season passes last year. It was new non-residents who were not able to. And that's where we were. So I think that is what we would need to pay attention to, but I think we need to open it back up.
Yeah, I think I concur. And to Councilor Jones's question, it sounds like if for some reason there was a flood of people because it was the hottest thing on earth, it sounds like I'm assuming that you guys at the course could come to these boards and say, hey, we're getting bum rushed. Can you guys go put a cap? Whoever bought them, but as of next Monday or whatever, we're capping it. I assume from a legality standpoint, maybe when Mark has to look at. I doubt that'll happen, but it sounds like that's your question.
That's my question. Yeah, it's if something's suddenly right, this is it gets reviewed in some magazine somewhere, the course, and people start flooding in, and you realize, oh my God, we have a problem. Can you put the brakes on at some point? That's all my question is. So, can you do it midstream? So, I'm fine with the way Todd's talking about it and do it next year, but just if something happened, it changed. Do you have that legal ability to do it, or are we sort of stuck at this?
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And I guess, just from a perspective of the Women's League, just to give you some numbers, we have 57 active members in our Women's League. 42 of the 57 are season pass holders. So a majority are. 15 of them are not. Many of them are non-residents, so they weren't able to be pass holders last year. Of our 57, we have 18 are residents and 39 are non-residents. So we do need to, be cognizant of, allowing non-residents to be pass holders. I think would create revenue. I think that's a great idea. And also just knowing that we have an active league and we want to continue to recruit new members and be competitive.
Okay.
Yep.
So one other comment that I want to make, but I want to wait until there are other questions because it's connected but different points. So I'll wait if there are other questions around the rates itself.
I do have a question, Usha.
Yeah.
We were talking past this on the greens fees on page 17. Yeah, I think that's the spreadsheet you put together. The option 2, that's really the one we're talking, I think, right? That's what the GAB is recommending. The greens fees increases look like they're anywhere from like 4 or 5%?
So greens fees, yes.
How do you guys come up with those rates? They look different for each category.
Yeah, they were, I think, a 5% increase across the board for option 2, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the option 1 was again using the 5% for residents and then 15% for non-residents. But the option 2 is just a 5% across the board.
Oh, okay. So are your revenue projections based on option 2?
Each one has its own revenue projections. So option 1 was 998 420. Option 2 was 948 502.
Okay, so which one kind of works for which one works for you guys?
I would recommend option 2. Option 1, as Bruce mentioned earlier, we did that as an exercise. It's not a recommendation. So
it's option 2. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So option 2. So to be clear, option 2 for the season passes is up anywhere from 8 to 13%, depending if you're a resident or not resident. And then for the greens fees, it's generally a 5% increase for everybody.
Correct.
So we're kind of re-equalizing, we're kind of getting the low pass rates kind of up and staying with inflation on the greens fees. Is that generally what your attempt is?
That's what we were trying to
Okay.
do.
It's just
We
the-
are slightly above Norwich, but it's not, it's marginal.
Right, okay, so it's sort of like, yeah, okay. So kind of status quo. Got it. And then, of course, the 25% increase in the carts, going from 20 to 25, okay.
Yeah.
For everybody. Okay.
Just staying competitive with,
Yeah.
same price as Norwich at this
I'm
point.
clear. And you guys are okay with what Todd was recommending, that we just open up the passes for the non-residents? And if there's a problem, go
Yeah.
over 400, then maybe he'll revisit it with us, but he doesn't
Yeah,
think.
I think so. And I agree with Todd that I don't think we're going to have a huge issue with a lot of people flooding in, partly because the rates have gone up.
Right.
That might cause some folks that are current members to reconsider if they want to join or not.
Yeah.
So there may be some attrition, and we may attract new people that might be interested in joining. So
I'd like to add something, if I may. And that is just we didn't bring up that Norwich does have that special of, I think it's $49 for cart and greens fees Monday through Thursday. Just trying to keep that in the background. They do have that number that's very attractive to a lot of players. But what I really want to say is that last year when we approved rates, we also restricted the limited pass holder on weekends to not play until 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and that did affect many of our league players. So, and when we make a motion or so, I'd like to make sure that we have that conversation beforehand. When will a limited pass holder be able to use the course on weekends? We used to have
Marie,
it, I think
I'm glad
at
you
1
brought it
o'clock
up.
or noontime, but it really was problematic last year for the league.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because that was my allied point that I was going to make, is that we have now significantly increased the price for the membership. And at 3 o'clock weekend rate, we might see a lot more attrition. And I think we need to reconsider that, especially given there are only 2 months or so that you can play a full 18 holes. Once the sun starts to go down, you're not going to be able to play a full 18. So I think we need to reconsider the start time for limited members on weekends.
Right. And also, we would also likely make more cart fee revenue if we opened the weekend limited to a time where they could get at least 4 hours, 5 hour rounds in, as opposed to only 2 hours.
Correct.
So I think we could generate more cart revenue on weekends. They're correlated, having the limited pass start earlier and achieving better cart revenue.
Well, why don't we decide on that? Because we're kind of running out of time. Town council's going to have a meeting next month, right, Mark?
Yes, March 10th.
Yeah, so we need to make a
Marie,
call.
you gave some feedback, hey, it wasn't as good. Kind of, can you shed a little light onto that? Like, what wasn't good about it? Was there a certain time that it was a good threshold? How did it affect the league? Can you give a little background just so we can make maybe a good decision?
So the driver behind that decision originally was that when we had a large number of season pass holders who were trying to get tee times on the course, if you had the limited folks previously starting at noontime, that limited the number of tee times to like before noon, and put a flood of folks getting tee times starting at noontime. If you added the limited folks to the mix of people who could make tee times, and so the prime time of getting tee times starting at noon, the number of people going after them went way up, and so it was just an opportunity or a chance to give, especially the unlimited season pass holders, a little more, like another hour or two, where they had tee times that were available to them to be able to play. That was when we had in the range of 500 or so. We had more folks who were trying to get key tee times. And so, with the reduction in the number of people who were coming after tee times, maybe it's not quite as important. Marie is exactly right. When you are starting after 3 o'clock, the tee times start after 3 o'clock. Now, I mean, if you can start as close to 3 o'clock, you're coming off the course at 7. If you're playing 18 holes at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, the sun is setting. So you're finishing, if you get a tee time close to 3, you're finishing it at sunset time. And so it makes it hard to get that full 18 in. If you're starting after, like at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, you're really only able to get 9 holes in. And so it uh, kind of made it hard for the folks who were starting after 3 to get a full time or full 18 in during that time. So bringing the time back up to something like 1 o'clock in the afternoon gives a few more tee times for the unlimited folks who may want to play on the weekend as part of it. I would say, though, they've got the full 5 days that are available to them. Most of the unlimited folks are working. And so that their ability to play is limited to the weekends, and so offering them the most available tee times kind of play. So it's a nice little balance here. But I think something like a 1 o'clock might be a fair starting point for the discussion. But that was the original intent, was to try and give the unlimited folks who were working during the week have limited opportunities, give them a few more tee times availability during the weekend, sorry, to be able to schedule those tee times. That was
I think if the board considered moving back the time for limited season pass holders to book to 2 o'clock, and then over this year we can see what the impact might be.
Yeah.
I don't know that we should necessarily move it right up to 1 o'clock, but certainly I think it would be well received among our season pass holders limited. If we moved it to 2 o'clock, they see that we're doing something, and then we can look at the data and we can see what the impact was. And if it's all good, then next year we can talk about 1 o'clock.
So I would actually propose the other way around, that we start at 1 o'clock because we are capping at 400 now. And if we see that there is disruption, because the other part of this is there are people who rent the cart and then they have to return the cart halfway through, and that disrupts the flow of play. And so my suggestion would be
they don't have to do that during season, because I have staff that's on premise until 8 o'clock and beyond. So that's a non-discussion.
This is my personal experience.
I've never seen them. I've just seen people being yelled at like 5 o'clock. I want to go home.
Being on the course at that time, I have seen this happen way too many times.
Yeah.
But regardless, the point is, I agree with the point that we should reassess next year. But I think with the rate increase that we are proposing is not small, that we consider moving it to 1 o'clock, as Margaret suggested. And then if that is still causing problem, we need to reassess to see what do we need to do? Do we need to go to 3 o'clock, back to 3 o'clock, or 2 o'clock? How do we adjust the rate? Because it seems, as Margaret said, and I'm one of them, so this is personal to me as well, that, weekdays you just don't have enough time to play. Why would I join if I can't play a full 18 hole on a Saturday or a Sunday? So I think I'm not the only person in this boat. So we should really consider 1 o'clock and then reassess, and maybe we do need to go back to 2 or 3.
Can I ask a question? So when I look at the data, right, I see a lot of the limited passes are limited seniors. Like if you look at the data on one of the slides, right, 70, like it's the majority of passes are unlimited adult and limited senior. Those are the top two, right? They're more than double any of the passes. So I think senior, not maybe I'm of the younger generation, I think retired. Maybe that's not the case. So I'm thinking if someone's retired, right, you really want them to play in the week so you get more revenue from people that are buying 18-hole passes on the weekend. But like, is that maybe not the case? We're having people that are in the senior category but still working, and then that you want to go out on the, I'm looking for a little info. But I think we did it to eliminate it, but also to allow people, part of the rationale at the time is to allow people that are buying 18-hole passes to buy it on the weekend because you get more revenue. And then the people that have the limited season pass are forced to play at a later time because you want them to play in the week because they bought the limited. If they wanted to play any time, then they would have bought the unlimited. So I'm just trying to understand if the majority is seniors, you know, if I was retired, I really wouldn't care. Every day is a Saturday, right? So it wouldn't bother me when I could play any day. And then we get more revenue on the weekend. So I'd want to have more revenue coming in from people that aren't pass holders. So
Yeah,
I guess I'm
that's
looking
not
for
the way it works, Mike. The foursomes are mixed. Some people in the foursomes are retired, some aren't, you know. And then so if you're like a retiree, and you have a limited because you're on a limited income, right? And all of a sudden you can't play with your buddies because, you know, they're getting time at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something, yeah. So
most of our limited members, the economy and the senior, they purchase that season pass because they play during the week, and we have many working people who pay full boat to play on only Saturday and Sunday, and so if you want to play early on the weekend, then maybe you ought to consider buying the full season pass. I mean, it's a give and take. So we can allow this board can allow the limited member to play at whatever time you decide. I'm cool with that. But I think it's important to acknowledge that there are working people that play on Saturday and Sunday only because they work. They can't play during the week. So they buy a full pass, full boat pass. And so 1 o'clock I'm fine with, 2 o'clock I'm fine with. We can move off of 3 o'clock. But I think it's important to acknowledge that truth.
Yep. And I've had a few of the 30, 40-year-old working folks come up and try and make that point. They're paying $400 more, $500 more than the limited folks to play.
Yeah.
And they struggle getting tee times.
Here's some statistics just so we're grounded on actual facts, right? So when you look at limited adults, combining both resident and non-resident, you're looking at 27 passes there. When you look at the limited family, you're looking at 19 passes there, okay? The biggest group in the limited is the senior and the youth. So that comprises, and keeping in mind, they get the most discount. So when you look at that number, that's a substantial number there. That's 181 passes.
Yeah, so somebody's paying $500 more to get out on the course.
So my point is, even the limited members, that's a smaller number of limited members that don't get the senior and the youth discount.
Right.
And that group is not able to play on weekends, but still pay much higher rate than the 181 senior and youth. And I think there's an imbalance, especially given the rate increases we're talking about. I think we need to reconsider this.
Reconsider
So-
what?
Starting, 1 o'clock versus 2 o'clock. That's a big difference.
Well, the adult limited folks are also playing during the week.
Some of them.
I don't know.
Most of them.
So the other suggestion I might have is if we want to do senior and youth playing at 2 o'clock because of the substantial discount that they do get, and the adult and family playing at 1 o'clock.
I mean, I'm fine with that. Whatever you think from an ease of
Oh,
from
the
the golf
family-
course.
Family's getting the biggest discount. That's for 2 people. Divide that by 2, they're getting the biggest discount.
With the new rate,
Yeah, they're paying $11.50 each.
Yeah, there's only 16 of them. I think from the numbers standpoint, you're saying there's not a lot of people. From a golf course,
Yeah, I'm not
enforcement
worried about
standpoint.
that part of it. I'm not worried about the 1 versus 2. It can go either way.
uh,
Yeah,
I think that the 26 to 40-year-olds who work all week, who are paying substantially more, who want to be able to play on Saturdays and Sundays.
no, Margaret, the limited family is $14.23 per person, $14.24 per person.
So is the argument here of those 2 sides just starting at 1 or 2? I mean,
Yeah, that's what we're discussing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
know.
think either way personally. From a golf course perspective, it was,
I don't know.
I would
Maybe
think we'd want to keep the time from an enforcement perspective. Like, Eric or Todd, like, if we gave you this group was this time, would that be hard for your starters? Like, would you want a uniform time, like logistics of enforcement
uniform.
over?
1 time.
Yeah.
I think before we go on the time too, the other question on the table I think we need to understand is, and I think Jim, you had asked this, but we have today people that have passes. And I think it doesn't matter what pass you have. Could be wrong. You can book tee times earlier than the general public. To me, that's a huge perk. I don't know how many season pass, just to be transparent. I play in a league through ED, and I play, pay to play as I need to on the weekend. I think the people that have season passes should have a earlier book time, whatever that duration is. Leave it up to you guys. 24 hours, 48, whatever the right number is. But I heard that might go away. I personally think that should stay in effect. People are paying a lot more money. They should get a perk out of it, right? Sort of like you're joining a members only club. You should get some points for that. So I want to bring that up too, because I think both of them go hand in hand when we decide.
I think that one was the long-standing hour if you're a resident. So if you're a
So
resident,
it used to be an hour, yeah.
yeah.
So my only argument for that would be that we rely on the greens fee folks to make up a substantial part of the revenue that's going on here.
Right.
It's a public course. It's not a members only course. It's not a private course. It's a public course.
No, but I think the reason for it was because it's a Groton course, and it's been paid for by the residents of Groton, okay, over the years, and they should get something out of it. And one of the things that they always got out of it was the 1 hour in advance for tee times. Okay.
Was the current thing
for the last several years has been 1 day advance from the public. It became problematic when we had a very high number of season pass holders that were booking in, but below 400 it was never a problem. and I agree in this discussion that the 1 day advance for the season pass holder is a significant benefit for them to consider purchasing the season pass. And
okay.
so I do agree with that.
So we should keep that as is what you guys are recommending in the golf course? If we're gonna
Well, that was my opinion. That was my personal opinion.
All right.
Todd, did we have that currently? I thought with the new software that was not the case.
Well, under the current software that we're using, the season pass holder would have to call us in the shop, and so being that we close at typically 6 o'clock, the first thing the next morning is when our season pass holders would call to book in advance. And then at 6 o'clock online, the non-season pass holder could book online. So they were getting that benefit in that way.
So this current software
They would have to call in.
The current software should have been able to separate season pass holders from non-season pass
holders. Once we're able to implement a new a new point of sale system, then that will be something that I am going to be certain that that is going to be included.
It sounds like you can do it today. It's just a little manual by calling in, and then it opens up to the public via the online. We'll call it a business day. It's maybe not 24 hours, but in advance. That's the current state of things.
So, are we going to keep the advance for the Groton citizens, the residents?
It's not for the residents, Jim. It's for any pass holder.
For pass holders.
Oh, I thought it was just for the Groton.
No, it's always been if you're a pass holder.
Okay. Oh, sorry, corrected.
And it did used to be 1 hour, and then we switched it to a day. And then we had discussed last year when we had increased pass holder numbers that the general public wasn't being able to make any tee times.
Right.
Clogging up a lot of the mornings. So we did make a proposal to switch it back to the same time for everybody, regardless of status, pass holder, greens fee player. And we tried to do that last year, and there was a big uproar, and we tabled it until this year.
Okay.
So right now, I think there's. I think it shouldn't be a day. I think it should be a couple hours.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Give the general public more of a chance to get some of the better tee times.
Okay. Yep. Now, can you do the couple hours in the system?
Yes.
I'm sure any good online system, if we upgrade, will be able to handle that, no problem.
Now, how about the current system?
So 2 hours, and we can, in the shop, we can accept phone calls from season pass holders at, say, 4 o'clock. And then at 6 o'clock, it opens up online to everyone because the shop is closed at 6.
Right. Well, hopefully the system is totally good enough and easy to use that most of them will just do it online, and we won't have a huge flood of phone calls.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
we have it narrowed down at the POS system.
I think you got to think a little realistic though for a second, because so I am in charge of all manufacturing systems in my company, and implementation is not a month. So if you think we're going to get a new POS system in before the earliest August, I think you're fooling yourself. So I think you got to really think, if we talk times, I think you got to think about the people in the clubhouse. People coming off work usually end work between 3 and 5. If they're coming in to play and you're getting a bunch of calls, you're clogging your staff up. I think you really got to say, either the morning before or like start calling it at noon to give the staff in the clubhouse time to deal with people coming in to play and pay. So from a staff logistics, until you get a new POS system in place where you can put online reservations, I think you really got to say either the morning before or noon before. Noon would give you whatever that 4 to 6 hour period. But I think you need to think about the staff. That would be my proposal for you.
Yeah, because you know what, Eric, yeah, you're right, Mike. Because what Ken does is he just doesn't pick up the phone after a while. There's just so many calls, he overloads, so nobody even gets in. Really bad. So
Well, that's what I was suggesting, to start at 6 when the shop is closed. So you force everybody online if they really want to make a time.
Yep, 6 and then 8.
6 and 8.
okay. All right.
Yeah, but the current you can't do that, is what I understand.
Yes, you
You can online. You can do it
You
online.
can do it online.
Okay, so it can accommodate that, the current system online.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's so online the pass holders get at 6 o'clock and everybody else is at 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do we want to do with moving the 3? Do we want to split the difference, go to 130? See how that works? I don't know what else to do. Getting late.
Yeah, that's halfway between 3 and
noon.
Yeah.
Yes, I think what I hear, to sum it up, and I'll make a proposal just so for an interest time. Because we got to talk prices if we all agree. The limited goes to 1:30 p.m. and then pass holders are allowed to book 2 hours in advance. And it has to be booked online. I actually like the online booking personally because I think it then takes the alleviation off the people on the phone. I don't know if we're going to have a lot of flack from people that maybe don't use computers or computer savvy. I am very computer savvy, but I know that, as a town, we don't have everyone computer savvy. So the only thing I think we have to be ready for is if a bunch of people complain about that, we might have to come back and consider doing a time like noon that people can call because some people aren't extremely computer savvy. That's my only concern.
Well, when they call, it'll be the next day. Right.
Yeah, I mean, they'll just be a little bit behind.
They'll miss the window. They're going to have to learn.
That's
weird.
Because if you do it at 6, Ken's already gone. If you do it at 4, that's the problem. He gets a million calls.
I understand. I mean, I'm good with making a proposal to do it at 4. And then I guess I'd ask the town council, if you guys get a lot of feedback, maybe bring that back to us and we need to reconsider the duration it starts at. That'd be my feedback.
Yeah.
So I think the proposal on the table is 1:30 for limited, 2 hours advance, 4 o'clock for any member, and 6 o'clock for anyone else. Is everyone good with that?
No, I thought we were 6 to 8.
6 to 8. 6 and 8.
6 to 8.
Yeah.
And they can call the next day if they need to do it by phone. But we have 90-year-olds.
I have to make sure that the current POS system can distinguish between season pass and non-season pass holders. So if it can, perfect. If it can't, then maybe we ought to consider 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
But
2
then
o'clock to 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
For
you're working
pass holders.
Yeah, that makes sense, Todd. 2 to 6 if it's offline.
Yeah.
Figure
and
it
then
out.
you're just working folks are not available to make the phone
Yeah,
calls.
makes sense. Yep. Yeah. All right.
6 and yeah.
6 and 8 if it's online. If it's offline, you can call in at 2, and
The
then
next day.
everybody can get on at 6. Yeah.
The next day.
I'll check that. I'll check that tomorrow.
All right.
I'm pretty sure it can do it because people do
All right.
it.
I think that's decided. my kind of thing I looked at is like, I tried to ground myself a little bit on, I wasn't the big fan of option one, to be honest, but I did try to ground myself on, you guys, you did it on Norwich. I'll kind of say I looked at, to me, Norwich is a public course, but I tried to look at like things around here, like Pequot, Elmridge, Fenner Hill. So, I think that what I see in option two, to be transparent with you, is pretty aligned. An average in a weekday, just to ground everyone, a 9-hole in the local courses, not all public, but the average price of 9 holes is about 30. Pretty consistent for what we have if you look. Some are higher, some are lower. 18 holes is about anywhere, this is weekday only, it's between like, it's around 40 to 50. We're right around that range. So, I think the prices in option two for the regular green fees are pretty reasonable. So, I have no objection there. I think good job kind of from the team. The only question I have is the tournament. Do tournaments include cart, or is a cart separate than a tournament? Like, is it separate?
No, include. We made that shift last year.
It's 65 and 20, $85 right now. Monday through Thursday, it's $75.
Yeah, so I think we got to reconsider those rates, and I'll give you my rationale, right? So one, I think we want to grab tournaments out of the weekend. That's my personal opinion. But also, if you look at the weekend rate, let's just say for a normal 18-hole, right? So a non-resident 65. So it's then the proposed cart fee is 25, right? So if it's cheaper, like if tournament's cheaper and it's more burden to organize. I think that the tournament rates should go up, in my opinion. I think
we lost 3 tournaments this past year because of our rate.
Okay.
Because we substantially increased the tournament rate, and we lost 3 tournaments. Every tournament is about $7,000 revenue.
And did you lose those tournaments on the weekend or the weekday?
It's always Friday.
Friday, okay.
It's always Friday, which is a weekend. Friday is considered a weekend. But the tournaments are Friday.
Do we have other tournaments on a Saturday and Sunday?
Never.
Okay. So besides like the US, not the US, but besides the Open, that's the weekend, everything else is truly like I consider Friday a weekday. I understand it's not here, but they're always on. Heretofore we have so many members, and they only can play on Saturday and Sunday, that we have never held a tournament on a Saturday and Sunday. One caveat: in October, the Par 4 restaurant does hold their customer appreciation tournament on the first Saturday of October. Okay. Out of season. So. I guess I'm going to open up the questions from the Parks and Rec Commission of, looks like option 2 is what is being recommended. So that's what we're going to say would be the baseline for everyone here. Is there concerns with the pricing on either the season pass, the green fees, or the carts in the option 2 pricing being submitted?
For me, I'm fine with it, Mike.
Mike, can I weigh in?
Sure.
The percentage change from 15 to 20 for before 9 a.m. is a 33% increase. And I can see everybody lining up already, going to the council saying that they can't afford that. So
on what, Mark?
This is the cart fees.
Oh, the 20 to 25.
Well,
$5 increase.
The 15 to 20, if you do it percentage wise, that's a 33% increase.
I thought we were going from 20 to 25.
It's a $5 increase, right? But it's 33%. If you look at the increases of the other two, the first one from 20 to 25 is only a 25% increase. From 13 to 15 is only a 15% increase. And the before 9 a.m. is a 33% increase.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
So that's, it's, well, the 18 and the before 9 is only $5, but you have to look at what you were starting at.
But if
You know
we go
what?
from 20 to 25, we're going to hear it big.
Well, we did last year. We proposed not to. Last year we proposed to drop the before 9 a.m. and which would have made it $20. And they were screaming, and the council said, "No, we're going to keep that rate." So, what's the definition of insanity?
Yeah, doing it again. Yeah.
It's
But
a
you know
new
what?
year.
I don't know anybody that for an 18 was charging $20 anymore for a cart.
Yeah,
That's low.
I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying I know they're going to line up and go to the council, and the council is going to
We
say,
just have to be prepared for the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we are.
yeah.
And the before 9 a.m. is for 18 holes. That's a pretty darn good deal, $15 for 18 holes. If you
Oh
go
my
before
God,
9
yeah.
right?
$9 for
And we're proposing that go up to 20, which
Yeah.
is not unreasonable. But
Oh,
Mark, your point is well taken.
I'm not arguing that it's not unreasonable. I'm just telling you, the council is not going to change that number.
Do we know that for sure, or can we make the case?
Well, it happened last year. It happened
that's
last year.
last
You
year.
had several senior
That's last year.
players that came to the town council meeting and raised the dickens.
Yeah.
I understand. That was last year.
Yeah.
I think
Are
that
we able-
the point I would make is, we need to really consider the revenue portion of this. So
Yeah.
the golf course is solvent, and we can't not increase the rates when everything else has gone up.
Yeah.
Price wise, that we have the expenses, right? So we got to find a compromise that helps us make sure that the golf course is solvent.
But that's the market. We're just pricing to the market. If they want to do it in 2 years, fine, but we're just pricing to the market.
Nope.
And we did not go up last year.
No.
So
We're the only course in that market.
Yeah.
I don't know of another course that gives a discount for a cart at a certain time.
Yeah, I never heard of that either. I'm paying 30 down here in Florida. Okay.
And Bruce, did you have a comment? I think you're on mute.
No, I'm not on mute.
no, Counselor Jones is.
Oh.
I think Bruce is speaking.
Sorry. Okay, there we go. Michael, can you put the main chart up again that we had before?
Yeah. Hang on 1 second. I know what you want. I think you want this thing, right?
Yeah, that one. And then
It's coming.
Yep, that's perfect. That's good. Now, Mark, so this particular chart, if you look at the total revenue based on what we have here is 1,959,000. Mark, what was the number that you had for expenses? Based on was it
198 something.
Yeah, 19846.
so it was
sorry, no, it was
1984668.
1984668.
So it's only about 60. It's only about $20,000 different. But using these numbers, we're within. If this is how the world went out, it's within $20,000 of hitting the revenue needed. Correct?
Yeah, but I mean, we also have to remember this means we're not putting any money into fund balance.
Right. No, I know that. So what I'm wondering is something that you haven't done, or I haven't seen it in golf numbers, is we've only ever put up the rates, but we've never shown the projected estimated revenue. And I wonder if it's worth saying this is how much we're estimating it's going to cost, and this is how much we estimate we're going to make.
No.
There's an argument to say why we need certain revenues.
Right.
Because otherwise they're just floating in space. They don't mean anything. They're just numbers, and then you can kind of attack them on the percentage is too high. But if we put the chart as the presentation, of what does it really mean? This is what it really means. We can see we need this revenue, we need these rates to get to this revenue to make our number. We're even a little short, and we're going to have to go into fund balance to get it. But at least it justifies the number. And if we're going to say we need to be competitive, we need to be in the market, it's might just be worth showing actually what these numbers mean and how we actually get to the number that we need to get to.
Agree 100%.
And
I like that. To me, I almost think you share basically this chart, but you just show this. All right, I wouldn't even put the curve. I'd almost just show, this is my personal take, you can choose what to do, but kind of 25, and then just call it recommended option, not option two, just call it recommended option, and then the revenue. I think if you show that, I think that would be a good thing. And you could do the same thing for like the carts, like the same, but I think you could show that for one of them. I think that would be a great thing. You clean up the chart to remove the stuff, that was the discussion point.
And I would move the total revenue line down because it's in the wrong place. It should be at the bottom of the carts. But I think we need to show how this relates to the market. And then now you're sort of saying, all right, if you cut this market, we're not going to make revenue. So we have a stronger argument. That's my point, that I would show, and I agree with what you just said to show was the Shinnecock rate, the option 2, and the projected revenue. So like this is how we come up with these numbers. This is what we need. To not
create a lot of work though for the council, we could just include the current budget numbers in a separate attachment, so you'd have them side by side.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever makes you don't have to jump around from paper to paper. If you can kind of make it as a single snapshot view. I mean, last year it was presented well, but they're still just numbers floating in with no basis for why they're there. We need to show why they're there.
I would almost put a line. I'd almost put a line below the total revenue, put estimated total expenses, and then just put a sum line below, right? Yep. And it's obvious. And if you see 20K, right, if we're within 20K, we're damn good, right? I'm just saying, that's a lot of money for us personally, but in the 1.9 million range, that's pretty good if we get that delta.
Yeah, no, I know. And because when we get to the actual budget time, it's sort of, I don't know what they call it, revenue neutral or something, where, it's just passed through. So when it's in the actual budget, all we ever see is that total revenue number of 1959. Those are balanced out. So I agree. Put the expense on there. Exactly. Put total revenue, put total estimated expense, and just say we're pretty close, and somebody plays 3 more rounds and we've got it, or whatever it is type thing. So that would be my recommendation.
That's an expensive 3 rounds, but yes.
We're guessing. You don't know how many is going to come when you get better weather, but I'm just saying, if you give ground it in some kind of reality of why you have these numbers, you can then justify moving the cart from the 15 to the 20 and say, now we're just going to be competitive with the rest of the market. We don't, and yes, we're going to have to deal with those people that do line up, but the other option is we need to make the golf course work. And if it doesn't work, then you're not even going to have a golf course. So, pick your option.
And on the issue of the carts, it might seem trivial to some, but to others it's not. It is the one discretionary fee you incur when you play. No one says you got to take a cart.
Right.
If you're unlimited income, you can walk.
So that's
with the carts also would just consider raising all 3 categories 25%.
Yeah.
And just make it
even, just a clean. Yeah, don't make
clean 25% increase on carts.
Yeah.
I think the category before 9 is such an unusual category, as Eric pointed out. Nobody else does this. I think we should go to 20 there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd make the proposal in the interest of time that, we, from our commission, we accept option 2 as written with the caveat that, we're adjusting the limited start time to 1:30 and then the 2-hour window, for pre-booking or if the citizen can't do it, whatever the call-in window before that with those 2 caveats. that's what I'd make is the proposal for, that we would vote on, but floor is open.
And then also, Mike, the move from 3 p.m. to 1:30 for the limit.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So that's how I would make the proposal, but floor is open from the Parks and Rec Commission if there's a counter to that before we vote.
I have another meeting at another call at 7:30, but I like what you're saying. From being the liaison from the council, that seems to make sense to me. So
yeah, and the only caveat that I would like to see, that it doesn't really have to do with the rates, but I really think, and I'm really going to push, I think, Mitch and Eric and Todd, I want to see a strategic plan for the golf course in terms of what needs to be done. We have CIPs, but I look at, we have a thing in our work called business continuity. If we lost certain things, we couldn't build what we built, right? So like, it's a big thing we're going into in this calendar year of like there's certain things that go down, like it stops us in our tracks. I'd like to see from the golf course perspective what needs to be there to be business continuity. If we lost the sprinkler system, right? Like we're screwed, for lack of a better term. But now it doesn't mean we have to replace the whole sprinkler system. Can we cross-connect some of the sprinkler systems? Like, I think we need a good business continuity plan, and that needs to be what's part of our CIPs to start. How do you phase it in? What's the risk of failure? If a pump goes, but a pump's only a 2-day lead time, maybe that you just let it go and ride it out. If you got to pay for it, well, that you hated that cost. That pump could last a year, or it could last 20 years. We got to really understand the risk of failure, the cost, the lead time. I really think we need that strategic plan to influence the CIPs that get put in, regardless of what the rates are. So that's kind of my ask, that we really do spend some time now in the off season to develop that. So, the proposal item on the table is, again, we accept it with the noted. Any objections to that or contrasts that we can vote?
This is Elizabeth. I agree with the proposal.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the numbers with the two caveats of the limited 1:30 and then the booking for the 2-hour delta for members.
Yep, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that's everyone from us, right? Yep. Okay, anything else that we need to discuss from the golf board, both boards or commissions are on?
I don't think so.
All right.
No, thanks for the presentation, Margaret and Usha. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
thank you, guys. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mark, is there anything else before we call to adjourn?
No, I think we've gotten through everything. Nice job.
And then, Mark, can you just tell us when the next meeting is? I think it's in person. Can we just verify for our commission?
Yeah, I will. I'll send something out tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's enough, just so that we're well-grounded.
Yep.
Last closing, anything from anyone? I don't, if anyone else joined us on the phone, Mark, if anyone else had anything else to say, but otherwise I'm gonna call to adjourn. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, have a good night all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Right.